Welcome to Decolonizing Money Mindset. I I'm two things. I'm really excited that we're having this workshop in this space and that there are 25 of you here in community to be present for this because it's it's a heavy subject and an unfortunate reality. So at the same time, while I'm like relieved and excited and jazzed that like we are going to talk about this and do this work, it's also very upsetting that this is the work that we're doing, right? It's an unfortunate reality. But I share that to say that there will be big feelings that come up. You might have some big money feels. I certainly had them while putting this workshop together. And talking about money and our money mindset, our collective money mindset, and our individual money mindset, it can be hard. It can be hard. So if you ever feel overwhelmed at any point during this workshop, or like the shame talk comes up, please remember that you are not to blame. It is them, not you. It is the white, cis, hetero, patriarchal system that is seeping into the collective. That's like what we see today in the market. That's what we see today in the economy. That's what we see today in the workplace, right? So what I want you to do right now is actually show yourself some love for being here, for being present, for showing up for yourself, for your ancestors, for your neighbor, for the collective. And yeah, so take a moment just to share some gratitude for yourself. Okay. So for those that don't know me and that are new to the space and new to my gold standard, thank you for being here. I'm Stella Gold. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the founder of My Gold Standard. So I am a financial educator and activist, a certified trauma of money facilitator. I see some of y'all here, my Tom family. Thanks for being here. And I have over 8 years of experience in the fintech and wealth advocacy space. I've now supported thousands of individuals and couples and entrepreneurs in defining their own meaning of wealth and success through my humanized and holistic approach to financial literacy. And I do want to share some like other fun facts about me, because even though I'm here facilitating this workshop, I'm still a human being. So let's humanize myself a little bit. I love indie video games. The song that I was playing for you is a song from my favorite video game soundtrack. And it's like what I do in my downtime. I also have a dog named Kenobi. We call him Old Ben now because he is, getting older. And you may hear him bark from time to time in the background. I really hope that doesn't happen while we're here. And the last fun fact about me is that I've currently been training in Muay Thai for the last 3 months. So that has been a really, really amazing experience for myself as someone that spent a lot of time not being connected to my body. And Muay Thai helps me get out of my head and into my body. And I would say Muay Thai is one of the reasons why I'm able to facilitate like this and talk about these things and hold so much space, because it helps me, get out of my mind and into my body. So, yeah. Okay. I want to, before we dive into this workshop, I do want to hold some time and space for a land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that My Gold Standard is located on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We honor the Ohlone and other indigenous caretakers of these lands and waters, the elders who have lived here before, the indigenous today, and the generations to come. And as guests, we recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects with this land acknowledgement through our monthly land tax contribution to the Ohlone peoples and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. So if you're unfamiliar with whose land that you are a settler on, I do invite you to look on native-land.ca. I'll see if Kiara can drop that in the chat. And I urge you and encourage you to consider making a land tax contribution to support the rematriation. Yes, the rematriation of land to your local indigenous people. Yeah. Okay, thank you for sharing, Jen. Yeah, they are the original land stewards. And so we're going to get into that today too. All right. All right, so just a quick disclaimer. This is not investment, tax, or legal advice. Luckily today, we're not getting too far into the weeds of financial literacy from a practical perspective. But this is also not psychotherapy or a substitute for psychotherapy, professional mental health, or medical care. And so if at any time you feel emotionally triggered to the point that it feels out of your control, please seek the support that you need in the form of a professional therapist, or you can reach out to me. I'm here to put you in touch with resources available. And so, yeah, I mean, I love that so many of you have your cameras on, which is fabulous and it's great. And I love seeing y'all. But also, like, if that feels good for you, great. But if you're like, you know what, this topic is heavy, I'm going to turn my camera off. Or if you're feeling good, you know yourself best, trust yourself, trust your body, trust your needs. That's what we're here for. And I really want to share with y'all my why. This is why I made this whole workshop. It's to bring our collective closer to embodying abundance is our birthright. And by doing that, by decentering our individual selves within the beliefs that we carry and unpack the roots of where they actually came from, the white, cis, het, patriarchal economic system that we're living in today. We will meet ourselves with radical self-acceptance and compassion, lean on each other for community care, and come up with a new belief ecosystem that is rooted in regeneration, support, and liberation for all. Now, I want you to think about your why you're here. There's definitely a reason that you are investing your time and energy and heart in this space today. And I'll just give a few seconds for that. And carry that with you as we go through the activities and topics together. Okay. My next invitation is for y'all to be here. Turn off any distractions. I got my phone on silent, on do not disturb. Try your best to be as present as possible. Set the intention to fully immerse yourself in the space. This is a time that you are investing in yourself, your ancestors, and future generations to come. So let's make the most out of it. Okay. So here is what we're going to cover today. We're going to kick it off with some money blocks and limiting beliefs, holding space for that. We'll dive into colonial views around money. We'll talk about the New Age movement, so the spirituality, New Age movement, pre-colonial views around money, cultivating a new belief system, belief ecosystem. And I'll also hold space 5 to 10 minutes at the end for any questions that y'all have. And I am gonna share some information around the Wealth Activism Collective. It's a collective that I'm launching literally like right when we get to that slide, it is launched, it's out into the ether, into the universe. And I'm really excited to share with you. And this workshop is meant to be an example of what it is like to experience the Wealth Activism Collective. So now we're going to start with a exercise. So I want you to get your piece of paper, and I'm going to do it with y'all. And what I want you to do is fold your paper in half. Let me just scroll through my script. Fold your paper in half, and then I want you to fold it in half again to make 4 boxes. So let me know when y'all are done with your four boxes, and type a 1 in the chat when you're finished. Okay. Cool. Everyone has their paper. Yes. All right. So next, what I want you to do is just like at the corners of each quadrant, the top are going to be 1 and 2, and the bottom are going to be 3 and 4. So you can label it like this. This is just going to be helpful for me to like guide you on like what you're going to put where. And the last thing I want you to do is to put a circle, like an oval, and I'll show you an example of what I want that to look like in a second. Because I want to do this with y'all because I thought that was important. I want to be part of this experience with you. So it's going to be like this. And we're going to spend the next 3 minutes where at the top of at the left-hand side of the page in quadrant 1, I want you to write down all the beliefs that you have around money that you might think is blocking you, or if you would label it, or whether it's like you yourself are labeling as a limiting belief, or maybe something that's, a scarcity belief, scarcity mindset that you might have. Let's put that there. And I would put those beliefs in a cluster up here, like in the middle. And I'll share with you why. So I'm going to do that with y'all, and we'll hold 3 minutes for that. Let's see if I can put on some tunes again. Oh, that's cool. Like this song. Okay. All right. And great. This is about 3 minutes long, so we're going to hold space for that. Oh, can't hear the song. Great. Oh, okay. Y'all can hear the song. Cool. a few more seconds. All right. Can y'all still see my screen? I don't think you can anymore. Can y'all? Yeah, I figured. Okay, we gotta do another screen share. All right, now I think y'all can see it. So that sucks that I haven't figured out how to crack the code in sharing both music and screen, but it's all good. So I want you to hold on to this paper because we're going to get back to it in just a second. We're going to use it throughout today's exercise. Okay, so we are going to dive into colonial views around money and wealth. I want to just give a content warning as we dive into the next few slides. We're going to hold space to address the history of colonization and white supremacy. However, I don't want to spend too much time on our ancestral traumas because I'm of the opinion that sometimes trauma can become such a big part of our identities. And I don't think that's because like we chose that. I think it's because it's how our collective oppressors see us too, you know? And we can forget that there is ancestral wisdom. That's like what we're going to create our new belief ecosystem on today. And this isn't meant to minimize it, but I just want to lay the foundation of the heaviness that things, these systems, these beliefs, our world are built on. So we're going to dive in. So this is our history. And if y'all are coming from other places in the world, this ripples into other places in the world and vice versa. So there needs to be a recognition when building a foundation on the bones of this heaviness. Whatever is built on top of that, whatever is built on this soil, so that's what I view our history, it's going to bear fruit that is rotten, right? So for me, and I say this a lot, to know history is to know liberation. I truly, truly believe that. And because we're talking about the roots of those beliefs, on the bottom of the page, I want you to write down events that you're aware of that may stand out to you and have a relationship to money, systems in place, generational histories or collective histories, and experiences that you might think that are connected to the beliefs that you wrote up here. And we're going to connect them through this quadrant here as if they are roots. And the beliefs that we have up here. Yes, number 3. Thank you, Jen. Number 3 is where we're going to write down the systems and the experiences, perhaps, of those systems. Money traumas that you might have, financial traumas. And I'll give y'all a few minutes for that too. So when you're done with your bottom half, that's when you're going to connect them. And I'll show you what that looks like. So it starts to look like this.
Stella, would you show that again? I missed it. Sorry.
I got you. So it kind of like looks like a tree trunk. Is what I'm going for here. Doesn't need to be perfect. All right. So just a few more seconds. And y'all type a 1 if you're ready to move forward. Great. Cool, cool, cool. We're good. Awesome. So we're going to move on to the next slide. History isn't history. So this is the rotten fruit that I'm talking about, right? The racial wealth gap, where it will take up to 100 years, if not more, to close, or the gender and racial wage gap, where women earn 83 cents for every dollar earned by men. And that amount is much less for women and femmes of color, despite the Equal Pay Act passing in 1963. And the anti-LGBTQIA+ bills that are being introduced all over the United States, 566 of those bills are anti-trans, and 83 of them have already passed. So history isn't history. This is the soil. It is filled with poison and toxins, and it's exploitative. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. It's extractive and it's cruel. It is dehumanizing. And some of the beliefs that I wrote down for myself, like my own limiting beliefs and money beliefs, money blocks. It's like not seeing me as a human, which is what this is all about. It's operating as intended. So what I want to do now that we've done the first half of the activity together, we're going to talk about mindset theory and how it connects to the New Age movement. So talking about, our history, right? We went back, colonization, white supremacy, how that has rippled into today in the modern day. How does that all show up in money mindset? So let's start where mindset work came from. So what is mindset work? Mindset work, simply put, is this belief that you attract what you think, or like you are what you think. And mindset theory specifically can be attributed to psychologist Carol Dweck, and her work on mindset began in the 1970s after observing stark differences in children's reactions to challenges and setbacks. So in her research, she coined these two terms. There's a growth mindset and there's a fixed mindset. So a fixed mindset is the belief that one's abilities were carved in stone and predetermined at birth, AKA in modern day form, it is what it is, can't be changed. And the growth mindset is the belief that one's skills and qualities could be cultivated through effort and perseverance. So the issue with this is that it completely overlooks children and their mindsets from an intersectional perspective. This is a humongous disservice to kids in the K through 12 education system because it places blame on the child and their minds, not the external factors that they are up against. So race, gender, sexuality, class, all play a role. So did anyone have any of those things that I just said in the bottom of their page in quadrant 3? You can type a 1. I had 2. I had 2 come up. And feel free to share what that is. So for me, I wrote poverty, racism and sexism, and internalized misogyny, and a few other things. So something that it also became not about, it wasn't about the kids and their bright futures, right? This thing that she researched, it was about companies making a profit by instilling this growth mindset. So this to me is a very colonial way of thinking. It's that idea that success is only linear. That's it. So companies like Google and Cigna, they use growth mindset training for their employees and prioritize it in their hiring process to ensure they are building a team that can reach company goals, which are centered around profit. Which I found very interesting. Y'all will get access to all the research I did and the additional resources to get curious about it as well. So what we're going to dive into now is New Age spirituality. This is how mindset theory rippled into the New Age movement. It actually kind of happened at the same time. The New Age movement or thought leadership, new thought leadership actually came a little bit before, but it became mainstream, I would say, in the 60s and 70s. Just gonna take a sip of water. Thank you, Ambar. Yes, manifestation is not hard. So I would like to kind of just like call it where it's where thoughts and prayers meets love and light when addressing all these systemic issues, right? That are like, it's like, I appreciate the thoughts and the prayers and the love and the light, and it's not really it. So let's dive in. The main folks that I want to bring forward today around the New Age movement, specifically around money, are Napoleon Hill, who is the author of Think and Grow Rich. He, and I quote, said, "You are a master of your own destiny. You can influence and direct and control your own environment, and you can make your life what you want it to be." I'm curious if anyone here has read that book. I'll move on. So, oh, you have read the book. Yes. So Louise Hay is another person, the author of You Can Heal Your Life. She believed that AIDS was caused by this term called dis-ease, aka negative feelings and thoughts. And back then, they saw her as a activist, and I think in some ways, maybe she was. And at the same time, you can't, like, that isn't what I would say is helpful. That places blame, right, on what was truly happening there. And I love that everyone's like, I've read all this, I've done it. It's like, same. And Abraham Hicks, who preaches that if you just believe hard enough in what you want, it will have no choice but to materialize. And lastly, I feel like everyone absolutely knows who Jen Sincero is. She's the author of You're a Badass at Making Money, who also said, and I quote, "What you can and can't afford is in your mind." So what do these folks, including the psychologist Carol Dweck, have in common? Anyone can answer that question for me. Yes, they are all white and privileged. So they do come from economic privilege, generational wealth, all that. But they also, so something that they also do, which I think is a part of that, right, is that they also lean heavy on the individual. It is only on you to fix yourself, fix your life, instead of fostering the idea of interdependence, where to an extent it is on us. Like, I do believe in personal agency, but it's not just on us, right? And so I don't know if y'all watch the show, but it is like my jam. It is my jam. Law of attraction and manifestation, they're big buzzwords, right? And I want to share and hold space on my own experience with New Age spirituality, because I think that's important, because I'm not here to like drag these people. And if y'all are, you know, if these thought leaders were helpful to you, that's okay. I'm not coming for anybody. But what I do want to do, what show is that? Why am I forgetting what show is this? Oh my gosh. It is like, I don't know why I'm forgetting. And I'm really sad that I forget it. What We Do in the Shadows. Yes, What We Do in the Shadows. Watch the movie first. It is fantastic. So my personal experience. So here's the thing. There is some truth in nourishing your mindset with abundant thoughts, speaking kindly to yourself, thinking lovingly towards yourself. However, and a big however, is where they have completely missed the mark is the fact that it isn't all on you. It makes sense, like, why they preach what they do. They want you to believe that they can heal you and cure you, and AKA save you from the terrible things that are happening in the world. So my nuanced thoughts and perspective around this is that I personally love expressing gratitude, thinking about the things that I desire as if they already happened, which is what manifestation is all about, right? Those things aren't necessarily bad, right? They're not bad. And a part of decolonizing money mindset and mindset work in general is this false binary between positive and negative, or good and bad feelings, or light work and shadow work. This is all based on a colonial belief system that compartmentalizes our humanity. It puts us in a binary when life is nothing but a binary. And this includes our relationship with money and wealth. It's more complex than that. So modern day colonization is within the New Age spirituality movement. And to me, there's nothing spiritual about colonization and appropriation. So this is like how I would describe modern day colonization, where thoughts and prayers meet love and light when addressing systemic violence, where you can just manifest poverty away if you believe hard enough, or where indigenous and pre-colonial rituals, beliefs, and spirituality are being appropriated and profited from. Manifestation, it is a business, right? It was something that was so connected to our spirit and our ancestors, and it became colonized and turned into this business. Where savior complex still continues to thrive, aka like I need to save you and I'm the one to do it. And it's also where you are shamed for being human, for having negative thoughts or being low vibe when you're just trying to survive. So another like hot word or saying is like self-sabotage. And I really feel like self-sabotage is like so much more complex than that. Yeah, sometimes we can do behaviors that are sabotaging what we actually want. But why are we behaving that way? It's because of history. It's because of our past. It's because of our generational lineage and what they experienced. And it's in our bodies and it's in our minds and it's in our spirit. So my hot take is, what if your thoughts and feelings aren't good or bad, but they just are? And instead of demonizing them or shaming them or trying to control them, we let them be and we get curious about them and wonder, where did they come from? Yes, trauma response or self-soothing. And I don't think I responded to you, Sarah. I do agree. It's there's that saying, like, take what serves and leave the rest. And I feel that so hard. And another thing that I really, including myself, that I want you to do is to like practice discernment, question, challenge, think for yourself. Because I also don't want to be in a role where it's like, this is the person that has all the answers, right? I'm just here to guide you. So we think of our barriers and issues or limiting beliefs, that they need to be saved or cured or healed. But the truth is, those emotions we have hold so much wisdom too. And it's not about ridding ourselves of painful feelings. It is about observing them, getting curious. And in my personal, like, medicinal way of coping is practicing radical self-acceptance and compassion. Bar. Ooh. I've been there. Like, I want to like be real clear. Like Louise Hay and Jen Sincero, I was like, y'all are God to me when I first got started. And the reason why I unpacked that and I'm speaking with you today about this is because I did everything they said. I was like, I'm going to manifest like $1 million and I'm going to like, buy my mom's house for her. And I'm going to like, cure world hunger. And like, I just need to be abundant and practice this abundance mindset. And so whenever that didn't manifest, I thought it was my fault. I was like, I must not be healed. It's because I'm so traumatized and fucked up. And like, that's why. So yeah, this discernment, right? Really, really important. And also some of these concepts, I don't even want to call them concepts, but they were spiritual practices by indigenous people, BIPOC people, and their history and their ancestors. And it was taken and monetized on, right? I I saw you just recommended You Can Heal Your Life. Hey, look, take what works, leave the rest. Wow. 20 years of life coaching. Yeah, I can only imagine that was not a popular opinion. I remember the minute I was like, I don't know about that, to a friend of mine who's also a life coach. And she was like, well, that's why all these bad things are happening to you, because you don't believe. And I'm like, all right, we need to reevaluate our friendship. Okay, so well, actually, before I get to that slide, this New Age movement, the way that I see it, it built an ecosystem on top of that soil that is rooted in white supremacy and colonization. And that is where our collective money mindset lives. So now what we're going to do is uproot that ecosystem. We're going to tend to the soil, and we're going to build a new ecosystem, and one that is rooted in abundance and enoughness and community care. So now we're going to dive into pre-colonial views around money and wealth, my favorite part of the workshop. And I'm just going to do a time check. All right, so pre-colonial views on money and wealth and the relationship to wealth was very different back in the day, let me tell you. We have money now, right? We have dollars, we have yen, we have pesos and euros. We also had currency back then. Money has always existed. It has existed dating as far back to ancient Mesopotamia, which was wild to me when I found that out. So the Mesopotamian shekel, the very first known form of currency, dates to 650 and 600 BC in Asia. Wow. And there's more. So this is the Mesopotamian shekel right here. I also want to do a check-in. So did y'all know that there was once a time where you could use eels to pay for your rent? Or that tea bricks and cows were also a form of currency. We have obsidian, amber, beads, copper, gold. This all served as currency at one point in time. Or that the money cowrie shells were commonly used as a medium of exchange in many areas of Africa, Asia, and the Pacific Islands, even up until the late 19th century. So people have been using all those different forms of currencies to connect with each other, to commune with each other, to exchange with. But the biggest difference is the intrinsic relationship people have with money. It isn't that currency and money exists. It is the belief system built around it by the people within it. Jalissa, I'm just reading your note, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I apologize if I'm not. I wrote that too. I'm not enough. So yes, the eels as currency is surprising. Fun fact, I have an eel tattoo because I love eels so much. They're so magical. I went on a deep dive of eels, and when I was on my deep dive of eels, I was like, wait, you could pay for your rent with eels? I did not know that. But anyways, before I get too excited and too sidetracked there. So we're talking about the intrinsic relationship that people have with money back then, pre-colonially, our ancestors. So this is what our ancestors built their ecosystem around. This is the ancestral wisdom that I'm talking about, the values. Being in relationship with land and nature, not seeing yourself as separate, but as one. Animism, which is, I describe myself as an animist. It is that all objects have a spirit. So that goes into the first point as well. Reciprocity, love, rest, balance, people, community, generosity, abundance, ritual, and pleasure. Our ancestors cared about these things, and it built wealth and prosperity with these values as their soil. So we're gonna get our papers again, and we're gonna write down the things that resonated with you about the pre-colonial times. And we're gonna do that in quadrant number 4. So whether it's community, gifting, nature, and if there's things on here that aren't listed out that you are thinking of, like, oh, this is it, put that there too. And we'll hold space for 3 minutes. I'm gonna try and do the music again because I thought that was cute when we were doing that.
Could you repeat what you want us to do again?
Yeah, of course. So like in quadrant 3, these are like the values that are kind of existing today, right? We're going back in time, pre-colonial time with our ancestors. Quadrant 4 at the bottom here, right next to 3. Sorry, here you go. This is quadrant 4. So if you're looking at your paper, it is the right bottom square. Let me know if I clarified. I'm sorry if I'm not explaining it correctly. All right, let's see if I can put on some tunes. All right. And I'll set my timer.
To all of you, American girls, it's sad to imagine a world without you. American girls, I'd like to be part of the world around you. Driving a car by the seaside, watching the world from the bright side. To all of you, American girls in the movies, no one can tell where your heart is. American girls like dollies, with shiny smiles and plastic bodies. I wish I had an American I cry sometimes, walking around my own place, wondering why she cries sometimes.
All right. I'll go back to my screen. I pretty much wrote down all of them. I actually thought of a little bit more too, which I'm excited to share in just a bit. So one thing I want y'all to take away from this is that our ancestors, they prioritize the collective as well as themselves, not above themselves, but as well as themselves. Because I also don't want to, have us be looking at this and be like, we're going to martyr ourselves now, right? This workshop ends in about a half hour. It goes on till 4:30 my time, so it's 90 minutes. Yeah. Yes, so we're not here to martyr ourselves. So now what it is like, how do I get the most for the least, right? Like that's kind of like what is out here in this economic system. And what I really want to share with you is this beautiful quote by one of my favorite books, Braiding Sweet Grass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. So much indigenous wisdom here, but if all the world is a commodity, how poor we grow. When all the world is a gift in motion, how wealthy we become. So how we must restore things isn't about getting the most and hoarding it for ourselves. It is about being in receivership with these gifts that are already there. So our ancestors used the wisdom of nature as its guide. Oh, I love that some of y'all have already read it. Oh, it is so good. It changed my life. It changed my life. She has a new book. I don't know if it's new anymore, but it's about moss. And I got to read that book too. So another example I want to give y'all, let's like bring in nature, right? Nature as its guide. The mycorrhizal network is an example that I love using all the time. So it's this network of fungi that connects individual plants together to transfer water, nitrogen, carbon, and other minerals, like to other trees, even if it's like on way other side of the forest, right? They are literally sharing resources with one another to the entire, or so the entire forest ecosystem can thrive. That is what wealth redistribution is. What happens if that doesn't happen in the forest? Trees die, ecosystems die, animals die. It's a really beautiful thing. Like if there is a tree on the other side of the forest that is dying, there will be another tree on the other side of the forest that's like, you know what, I'm high and mighty and strong and I have all these nutrients. Let's see if we can save this tree so we can keep it in our ecosystem because we need it. Oh, I did not know that Robin reads the book herself, but I love her voice. I listen to like anytime she's a guest on a podcast, I'm like, let's dive in. Let's do this. All right, so what I want you to do is to always, always, always remember your roots. Abundance is in your blood. And before shitty dictators and colonization, our ancestors were abundant. So I want you to imagine this. Imagine the audacity of someone or a group of people who's coming from their raggedy ass boat, who has been at sea for months and months and months. They don't have food. They don't have water, no showers. They're smelly AF. And they get off this boat and they look at the indigenous people that they find themselves with on their land. They see their food, they see their homes, they see the land flourishing, their society in harmony, and being like, damn, they need us so bad. Like, what is this type of living? Like, no, they were thriving. They were thriving. So here's the thing. We can't go back. There is grief in knowing that, but we can and will build something better, And we will build an economic ecosystem that supports and nourishes us all by using the wisdom of our ancestors and also nature as its foundation to build a new home for our individual and collective belief system around money. So I'm going to read this quote out loud. For those of you that don't know who Lenny Strobel is, she is amazing. She is my ancestor, an auntie, an elder of Filipina descent. Indigenization as a process, not as a complete return to a pre-colonial past, recognizes that, in a sense, you can't go home again. But the process itself that requires the grasping of the process of psychological colonization, marginalization, and the reconstruction of your own personal history means that now you can take home with you wherever you are. It transforms consciousness. So our final activity today is cultivating a new belief ecosystem. So what we're going to do now is in quadrant number 2, the top right-hand square, we're going to write down the money beliefs that are rooted in that and connect them all. So I'm going to do that again, share my music, and I'll give 3 to 5 minutes to do that. And then just like we did on the left-hand side, you're gonna connect them through that little circle to make a new ecosystem, a new tree. So let me know if y'all are done by typing a 1 in the chat. And if you need more time, that's okay too. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Okay, good. Okay, so I'd actually love to hear from someone, if anyone is comfortable to come off mute, to share some of the beliefs you wrote, whether it be from before and seeing like, I wanted this to be like side by side together. So you would have it right in front of you of like, wow, like the duality, right? So if anyone wants to come off mute or share in the chat some things you wrote. Maybe I can share to start if we're feeling shy. It's only fair. So something that I write about a lot in my own journey, just like in life in general, and it shows up in money and my relationship to it as well. It's like this idea of like, I don't deserve to have my needs met, or like that I have to like earn it. I have to like earn to have my needs met. And the way that thanks, Jen. See you later. Thank you for being here. The way that like the thought, the wisdom from my ancestors that I translated that to is I am worthy of having my needs met and my wants and my dreams met. Like I am worthy of thriving. There's more than enough for everyone to thrive, including me.
Can you repeat what we're sharing? Are we just sharing from quadrant 1?
You can share, let's share like some stuff from quadrant 2. So what we just held space for, money beliefs that are rooted in the ancestral wisdom, the ancestral values.
The biggest one for me is this burden is not mine to bear alone.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And what, like in your internal journey, if you feel comfortable sharing, where do you think that came from? That idea that it was something to do alone.
Growing up, just hearing, oh, you got to get your own. Like, it's not okay to rely on other people. And even now, I'm in a space where my income comes from being on government assistance. And I have so much guilt and shame around that because I don't like having to rely on somebody else to take care of me. And I have 3 kids.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so sorry that that is what you're experiencing right now. I do want to say that that shame that is within you is something that is not yours to carry either. Right? Whose shame is that? it's from these systems in place that made it even possible for anybody to be on any form of government assistance and to not have your needs met. And in fact, I actually really believe that there is no shame in receiving. There is no shame in accepting support. And I love that you wrote that as something that you want to hold deep in your soul and in your heart and in your mind, that this isn't just on you to carry. This isn't your burden to carry. Oh, I was just about to say, like, please show some love and care to her. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your struggles with us. I'm going to send you something that I don't know will be helpful, but I will get your email. So you're the Holistic Health Plug. I will find you on my RSVPs because there is a resource that I think might be helpful for you. But if not, I just want to say it's okay to feel what you feel. I want to like validate just like where you're at and to know that this is, even though this is where you are right now, it won't always be the case. Oh, I love people just pouring in right now. I'm going to read these out because I think it's important. So Sean said, I think that makes me feel such shame for the society we have that we are not sharing care for one another. So those things should not be burdens, but wealth all people should have. Absolutely. It's a resource. So Kiara shared, shame like that prevents us from taking advantage of community support that is accessible to us. Of course, that is by design. So those systems were built for you to use when needed, no need for the shame. Yes. You are not alone. That's like what I'm receiving from this. Yes, government assistance is designed to make people feel that shame. 100%. All right. Thank you for sharing. So this is your new belief ecosystem. A belief ecosystem that is rooted in our ancestral values, abundance, community care, rest. And it isn't meant to bypass the very real pain and suffering our ancestors went through, or what you're going through today, like right now in this moment. You can be present for both. You do not have to emotionally or spiritually bypass all the experiences and feelings and thoughts you have to build an abundant belief ecosystem. So I am just so grateful for everyone sharing and grateful for this community. And this is exactly what I want to cultivate more of. So this workshop, so we're getting towards the end. And as we come to a close, I want to hold space for the last 10 minutes for questions and just processing together. Oh, of course. Yes. I'm so happy that you felt safe enough to share in this container and receive, like you received that love and support and that affirmation, right? It is not yours to carry alone. So, okay, let me ground back in. So this workshop is an example of what you would experience inside the Wealth Activism Collective. So for those that don't know, I put this workshop together as a celebration of this movement. It's really a movement for me. It's a protest for this offering that I'm launching, well, right now, today. So thank you for being here and for being a part of this experience. Today is the day that doors open for pre-sales, and with a public launch happening next week on September 20th. So the Wealth Activism Collective, it is a monthly community membership, and it's a school and community that harnesses the power of community care, activism, and financial literacy. So I created this because of two things. Number one is that I do think financial literacy needs to include intersectionality, mental health, our emotions, our spirits in that process. And I never found a space that also teaches the practical side of things. So the budgeting, the education, right? And so I was like, you know what, let me just put them together. And I wanted it to be this, the Wealth Activism Collective. So this is a workshop. If this experience and this workshop resonated with you, and you feel like this is something that you want more of, that's what we'll be doing in the collective. We'll be doing something like this every month. It has a theme, and together we will be doing it in community. So what I would say, I'll leave you with this: in modern day society, and this has actually been a big theme today, so I really love that we're bringing that to the forefront. We lean so heavy on individualism and putting the weight of responsibility on the self. And this collective is a protest towards that. I believe that we can grow together, we can learn together, and we can support one another with one another. We are truly not meant to do this work alone. So we have our first community call where we'll dive deeper into what we held space for today and also get to know one another. And that's going to be on September 27th. So we have pre-enrollment from now until next Wednesday, and then next Wednesday until the following Wednesday is the public launch. So, oh great, I have Kiara here, shared the link in the chat. I'll be sending an email with all the deets you need to know as well. And yeah, so let's hold space for any questions y'all have. Whether it be, we have about 10 minutes, which is perfect. As someone that loves talking so much about this, I'm just like so proud of myself right now for ending on time and having space at the end for questions. So if anyone has like one or two questions, whether it be not just about the Wealth Activism Collective, but also just about everything we went through in this workshop, or if you have reflections, you can type it in the chat or you can come off mute.
Well, I just wanted to hop on and say thank you for the exercise. I think I was definitely feeling a lot of scarcity when we started with quadrant 1, but the ancestral wisdom of quadrant 4 helped me offer like a reframe and reminded me just like a lot of the ways that I do actually currently have a lot of wealth right now as well too. And even just like the remembering the other forms of currency reminded me of like, I'm wealthy by virtue of just being rich in community and, my dog. And so just thank you for that reframe. It's definitely something as an Indigenous person that can be challenging to feel like you're walking both roads of, you still have all that ancestral wisdom, but you very much have to navigate the realities of surviving capitalism too. So thank you for that. I do have questions about the collective, and is it more going to be like a monthly offering, a share? Are there resources that are going to be available to the membership? Is it going to be using a certain platform? Is it a Zoom link? But
yes.
Happy to chat more if that's more useful.
So, well, first of all, thank you for sharing your experience. That just makes me so thrilled that you felt nourished by this community and this space and this workshop, and that this reframe was supportive for you. And I completely agree with you. Like, I say wealth activism, not financial activism, on purpose. And that's because wealth comes in so many different forms. And there is the currency of community. Like, that's where we're truly rich in. And I love that that's your experience too. As for this, all the details of the Wealth Activism Collective, so I didn't want to get too into the weeds of that because of the link. We'll have all that information that Kiara shared. I'll share it in the email after, but just like a TLDR, it is going to be on Mighty Networks. Every month, we're going to meet twice a month. On the second Wednesday of each month is going to be a workshop similar to this on a new topic that we can dive into. And the second meeting of the month will be at the last Wednesday of every month. And that's going to be a community call where we just gather and share and co-regulate together. So sorry, my dog is going off. She's getting excited if you hear her screaming in the background. But yeah, what else did I want to say? In between that time, I will share resources, reflections, things to think about. But what I really, really want to, I guess, emphasize is the community aspect. Like, I'm here to be the facilitator and bring people together, learn something new together, grow together. But what I really, okay, she's like getting really excited. What I really want to just end on is the community care aspect and meeting new friends and getting wealthier with the community side of things. So yeah, I'm going to mute and see if anyone else has any questions. Thank you, Rebecca. Oh, Lauralee, I see that you, oh, Theo. Oh, I'm getting like, sorry, I'm just like catching up on my chat. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Theo. Lauralee. Yes, the new age spirituality, that was like, it was hard because I was like, there are some things here that like, that helped me. Like, it did help me. Like, there's one thing that Louise Hay says, and it's, there's not a lack of money. There's not a lack of land or buildings or food or water. It's a lack of love. And like, that hits hard for me because I'm like, okay, she's right about that. But sometimes the way she delivers things, I'm like, not really vibing with that. Yes, thank you. So I have about 4 minutes left before we conclude. If anyone has any other questions, reflections, I'll give it like a minute. Thank you, Sam. All right, well, I'm just going to share that. Keep this paper with you. If you want to make it into an actual tree and watercolor over it or whatever it is that you want to do, or if you want to pin it somewhere just for you to have, hold that with you. Thank you so much for being present with me today. I am also blown away by everyone that came here today and that shared their presence with me today. And I really feel like our ancestors are with us all in this room, in this room today together, and that we're all just, it's us, but it's also them that's here with us. So thanks, y'all. I hope that y'all have an amazing rest of your day. And if you do have any additional questions, thoughts, or feedback, please, like, you can DM me via Instagram. You can email me at stella@mygoldstandard.co. I really pride myself as like a real human being that is accessible to people around me. So yeah, welcome. Thank you for your vulnerability, Jalissa. I really, really, really appreciate you. I will be emailing you directly, so be on the lookout for that. And I will send the recording after we hop off. Okay? Thanks so much, everyone. Have a beautiful, nourishing rest of your day. Bye.